Greetings, Patrick here. Have Cheeto Will View, and we are rolling into day 13 of our 31 days of Halloween. That's right. Yesterday we visited the Wendigo. I know we survived. We survived that. I don't know how we did that, but we survived the Wendigo. Of course, we're going to come back with another movie and put a little thought into it. And I got to tell you, it's really weird because the movie I'm going to be talking about is I actually saw there's two parts to it. There's part one and part two, and I saw part two first. It was on TV. I watched it a long, long time ago. I remember it has Muse Watson in it. And of course, he played Mike Franks in NCIS. So I saw him in that and I'm like, wow, he did a horror movie? All right, well, let me check it out. That wasn't that good. That was not very good at all. So I was a little hesitant to grab this one, but I noticed that when I started doing my research on it, before I watched it, I was like, okay, this sounds better than the second one. And so I said, okay, let's go with it. Let's go with it. Haven't really heard anybody talk about it. So I said, okay, let's just watch it. And the reason we were watching it because we were talking about Marjo Gortner the other day, and then we were talking about how he was a young preacher who his father was a preacher and he was in the church, though he was sort of like more like an atheist or or an agnostic, so to speak, and he went around the country exposing, fake possessions and whatnot. So the Last Exorcism has basically, which is what we're going to be talking about today, the Last Exorcism from 2010 sort of takes that story of Marjo Gortner and made it into a horror film. So the movie is it's a found footage and it's a mockumentary. But really what it is, it tells the story of Cotton Marcus, who is a son of a preacher man whose father has a small church. And I was really sort of surprised at that. I'm going like, these two guys would have a much bigger church than now. They're pretty flamboyant, they're very Pentecostal. And the Pentecostal message is you can attract sheep in pretty quick. Just do some makeup language and all that other stuff they have, and people will flock to that. Oh my God, he's speaking tongues. Okay, well, I know, another story for another time. But I thought the church would actually be bigger. But we see Cotton Marcus get up there, and he's preaching to the church, and he's talking about, and he's also talking about possession, about how exorcisms have never been more popular than they are now back in 2010, and that his father himself had performed 150 of them. He commented that the Vatican had opened up an academy for exorcists in the Vatican, and so, but Cotton's not really, he's done a few of these, but he's not buying it. He's been going around exposing them for a little while now, and he says this is going to be his last one. This is his last trip. And he gets a letter from Louisiana from a gentleman who writes that, in fact, he even calls it out before he opens the letter. He says it'll be some livestock dead or something like that. And he opens the letter, and sure enough, livestock is dead. So he's seen this before. And he's aided by his cameraman Zoltan and his other aide. Who's going to help him out as well. That would have been Iris Risen, and she was like his aide. So they pack up. He says goodbye to his wife. He's got all the tricks of his trade in with him, and they head on down to Louisiana and to the Sweetsurfs family, and they're looking for the farm, and then they get poked. They could definitely see how they're leaving the city life, going into the backwoods, and they start asking to where the ranch is at, the Sweetser plantation, So they finally find it, but as they're driving, they're passed on by a truck down this driveway. The other truck stops, and then we meet the son, Caleb Sweetser, played by Caleb Landry Jones, and he's extremely hostile, very hostile. He tells them to turn around and leave the property. They start going forward, and he throws mud balls at their van. Luckily, they weren't rocks; they would have shattered the glass. But so they drive in, and they meet the father, Louis Sweetser, and of course, Cotton starts telling them about there's a crazy kid out there, throwing rocks at our van. And then the crazy kid comes back and says, "Oh, that's my son." Well, obviously, Caleb is not very happy to see Cotton and his crew there, but they're not there for Caleb. They're there because of the girl now played by Ashley Bell. Now Switzer has possession, so they go around and they meet her. She seems very, very wholesome, very, very kind, and Cotton goes ahead and goes all through he's going to go through the whole ritual of doing, exorcist, and he starts showing us the tricks of the trade. He has like electricity on his rings, so when he puts his hands on people, it hurts. It causes them to arch because he's feeding them electricity. He's got little strings attached to make things move. His crucifix itself is it's there to when he puts it on the forehead, little puffs of smoke would come out, sort of like a spirit would come out. So basically, what he's doing is he's not taking this seriously. He's saying how, this is how this is. There's no such thing as possession. It's all fake. It's not nothing. This is not really. Doesn't happen. But lo and behold, after he does the little tricks and everything else, and seems to be pretty well, and we really do like Nell. Nell's a very sweet girl, but we find out that lo and behold, she truly is possessed. She is possessed, and so instead of leaving, because Cotton has no faith, it's part of this problem is he has no more faith. But Cotton he feels compelled to stay, and so they see that they're going to go try to help now, and they see that the father and the son, they've actually tied her up in bed using a chain. So Marcus and his crew free the girl, and they start trying to help her. But as you see it, as the story moves along, we start seeing more and more of devil possession and manifestation. And yes, that includes killing a cat. Yeah, well, she would have got exercised all right. Good thing we weren't there. But of course, it's important. Important it advanced the story. So yeah, it was a little distressing, but yeah, it advanced the story. Of course, and one of the things Nels does is that she paints pictures of future events. So she sees certain events that are happening and she paints them. Like she actually did foreshadow the cat being killed. And she's also foreshadowing that Cotton and his crew are not going to, at least two of his crew are not going to be ending up in a good way. And the last picture shows Cotton walking toward a battle. And so Cotton turns to the local preacher. He wants some help. Turns out, well, he gets help all right, but it's not from the place that you think it would. And the end of the movie is really a jar and abrupt. But then again, that's the key of found footage. Though this one here, I have to admit, I was very curious because I know the second movie it isn't as good as the first one by half. But the beginning of the first movie, I was very curious. I was very curious to see what was going to happen at the end. At the very end, they leave us on a cliffhanger. Like I said, found footage films. It was cool. It was an interesting ending. I really wish I could have seen it. But I thought the Last Exorcism, I thought it was great. I really, really liked this. It has a cast. The cast is outstanding too. It was led by Patrick Fabian, who's more known as a TV star than he is a leading man in movies. He doesn't have. He only has a handful of movies underneath his belt, but he's an episodic TV from top to bottom. In fact, when I saw him, I recognized him instantly from an episode of The Mentalist that I just watched. I mean, just watched. But he's really good. He's got that. He's got that Thomas Jane type of look. But he's a really good actor, and I totally believe him. He sort of captured the Marjoe Gortner of it. He really did a nice job here as Cotton Marcus. Really enjoyed him. Ashley Bell played Nell. She was sweet as hell. You watch this movie, and it's like watching Linda Blair's Regan, just a few years older. You just want to go to bat for her. You want to save her any way possible. And it really wasn't her fault where she ended up to being. Louis Hethum played the father. He was very, very steady. Sort of reminded me of a more rugged William Hurt. I thought he did great. Of course, this is the son was played by Caleb Landry Jones, and Caleb Landry Jones is a great actor too. He has done some really incredible work. In fact, he just won a Cannes Award over in 2021 for the best actor over in Cannes for a movie called Nitram. And Nitram is an IFC movie. It's Martin spelled backwards, and it's the story of the worst mass shooting in Australian history that led to Australia banning guns. It's a powerful movie. It's a horrific story. Over here, it'd be just a 24-hour news cycle. Over in Australia, it was historical and life-changing, cultural changing. And Caleb Landry Jones did an excellent job there. He's a fine actor. And of course, the two that also played, who played the gentleman who plays the Zoltan, who plays the photographer, and Iris Bear, who played Iris Risen. They were also very good. Enjoyed watching them as well. This is a good release right here. There's plenty of special features, including two separate commentaries. As this was produced by Eli Roth. This is produced by Eli Roth from Hostel 2. It's directed by Daniel Stamm. Who's done also? He's also done a couple other horror films, including one that was released last year called Pray for the Devil. So I really like this. I didn't like number 2 that much, so I probably won't be doing that one in this 31 Days of Halloween. I might go back and do it afterwards. But this one here, I would highly recommend this. This was great. 2010. You'll have to look for it for a little bit. You'll probably have to look for it in secondary markets, eBay and Amazon. But definitely well worth it, and a good Halloween movie to boot. All right, so there we go. We're back on track with quality entertainment here on the 31 Days of Halloween 2023. We'll be back with another one. This one, we're going to go back to Xenophobia. That's right, we're going to Xenophobia. We're going to be doing a review for Xenophobia, and we're going to put it inside of our 31 Days of Halloween. I love it. All right. Well, if you like this channel, you liked what I reviewed, drop a comment, hit the follow button, hit the like button, and we'll see you for the next one. Peace.